I've recently had the opportunity to sit down and chat with some of my mastermind sisters about their experiences of personal growth and transformation within the Charmed Life Mastermind. These conversations were completely unscripted outside of an outline of a few key questions that I asked each of them. It's my intention in sharing their stories that any of you who might be curious or on the fence about joining the mastermind can find a sense of connection in each of their experiences to understand the common struggles and outcomes that we face and work towards inside of our community. Here is one such interview. Enjoy. So, will you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Dorri Thompson. I am a bookkeeper, but I'm really just kind of an entrepreneur. I've had several different businesses. When I find something I'm interested in, then I move on to that. And
A
I'm
true
kind of,
entrepreneuress, right? Always looking for the next opportunity.
yes, yes, that's true.
And where are you located?
I live in a little town called Cedar Ridge, Colorado, which is it's a kind of a mountain town near
Awesome.
a ski resort.
And how long have you been a member of the mastermind?
I think well, since the beginning,
Yeah, I think you've
since,
been with us since October of 2020, since we first launched, right? So you're
yeah,
one of my absolutely the OGs of the mastermind, foundational mastermind sister, a founding member. You're like a founding member of the group. That's awesome. So tell me, Dorri, why did you initially join the mastermind?
well, really, I don't, I say I like connecting with people, but I don't have a lot of close friends or business associates. And I was reminded that you need to spend time with people that you want to be like and I just didn't have a lot of people around me that pushed me or made me want to do more. So I just felt like the mastermind was a good place to start with that, to have connections with people who are doing what I want to do.
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing I thought of when you said that was the idea of a rising tide lifts all boats, right? Like, and the idea that
Mhm.
you are the amount, like something I say a lot, you are like the amalgamation of the five people you spend the most time with. So I
Right.
definitely like that sentiment. And truthfully, one of the reasons I created the mastermind too is because I felt the same way, right? Even though I was someone who was putting themselves out there online for years and I did have some business buddies, even I felt like I didn't have a group of people who were all working towards the same goal of, having this idea of the life of their dreams that they desire, that they want to work towards. I mean, a lot of people say things like that, but there's a difference between having that ideal and then using the strategies that we use with the planning and the personal development and our metaphysical woo-woo stuff as well. So that's awesome. So once you had joined the mastermind, what surprised you about the group and the offerings inside?
Well, two things really surprised me. The first was, like you said, the woo woo, the metaphysical, because I am very metaphysical. And it was really nice to have stumbled into a group where that's part of it. To have a little meditation in the beginning, to talk about astrology and just different metaphysical ideas of creating. That was just a wonderful surprise. And then the other thing was about how much content there was. Like, I didn't expect our monthly live classes to be so in depth, and that was a wonderful surprise because there's so much information being shared. I that was It's just great.
That's wonderful. I'm really like personally, I'm very like happy to hear that, right? Number one with the metaphysical, because I know, especially in the beginning, there were people who actually didn't like that. And I did have, not many people. I can think of like one or two people who left the group because they didn't like that aspect, and that's absolutely fine. I don't think we go too heavy handed in it, but it's there. Like it is the undercurrent of for me, I've always been someone who like, and you might, recognize this too as like a student of metaphysics, the idea of being the seeker, right? The seeker of knowledge,
Right.
the seeker of truth, right? I'm always someone who's asking like the why, but like, why do we do this? And, in terms of the life on earth existence thing, right? I always bring it back to metaphysics on some level, because I don't know, I just think that life is a miracle in and of itself that we should be asking questions about. And some people are, and some
Yeah.
people aren't. And that's just your cup of tea or not. But so I like hearing that. And I definitely am happy. And I know a lot of people had expressed the sentiment, especially in the beginning, that the classes were very in depth. And I remember I had a conversation with you guys on one call that was like, am I making these classes too long? Because the classes do end up being like usually like 2.5 hours. They can go up to 3.5 if it's a big call, like the New Year's goal setting call, which I think warrants it. But yes, I like to go broad, and I like to go deep on information, right? And I feel like that's what we get to do in this group, is where my YouTube channel and my blog and where I share on social media, I feel like I give a lot of information, right? But I feel like I only give the first few layers, right? And the classes that we do inside of the group, I'm really able to dig in and pull out a lot of different strategies. So I'm glad to hear that's working and is
It's
useful.
amazing.
And that,
Yeah.
you feel like you're getting your money's worth from that, at least, right? The good classes. So that's wonderful. Thank you. So speaking of the classes, how has your experience with the classes and the resources and tools that I create each month, how has that been? How do you actually put those things to use?
Well, the most wonderful thing is that we have access to them over and over again, because I get sidetracked. I get, stuff comes up that I have to handle. We talk about a lot about limiting beliefs, and I never realized how much stuff I have to deal with. So stuff comes up that I need to go deal with, and then I can come back to the class and take another piece of it and work on that. So it's wonderful that we just have ongoing access to it. And the inserts, I'm a form person. I love paper and I love forms. I love writing, because writing really helps me get clarity. So having the forms and the questions and the journal prompts really help me work through things, and get the tools are there when I am ready to take another step. And that's really wonderful. And also the Slack group, I don't participate a lot, but I do enjoy seeing what other people are posting, what their successes are. It helps me feel good about what I'm doing as well.
Awesome. And yeah, this is, speaking of the Slack group, and I know I'm throwing this on you right now, but speaking of the Slack group, that framework of posts that I put up in the group for accountability, do you feel like those are good?
They are. I am.
And I know
Here
you're
we
not as
go with
active
another
in
limit.
there, right, all the time. So maybe this isn't a
No,
good
but it
question
does
for you.
help me. It's just because it's a trigger, just the whole accountability is a trigger for me.
Gotcha.
But still, it comes up every week. And even if I don't, I am feeling like I didn't do it, it's still there for me to keep working toward.
Yes.
Because usually I am actually sticking to my schedule a lot better than I used to. So just that little reminder helps, even though the guilt, the weird guilt in there keeps me from posting, because it wasn't perfect. It's still helpful.
So now, and I know there's a few here. I know there's some answers here. So Dorri, then what wins have you had during your time in the mastermind that you attribute to the information, atmosphere, or support of the group?
I would say just being more able to handle some of the things that have that get in my way when I'm trying to do something new. Um, just being able, just being able to see what the other women in this group are doing and know and say, you know what, I'm not any different from them. That really helps me. And then of course, also the one of the other ones I've had recently is I've never felt like planning was okay. Planning is waste of time. Planning is not useful. But I more and more I'm allowing myself to spend the time to plan because it's so important. But somehow in my psychology, in my other jobs, it's just not been valued.
Because
So
it's
I
creating
haven't done it,
expectations,
you know.
right? Is that what it's doing for you? Expectations that
It
you can
creates
then.
expectations, but also in my jobs, it I've always had so much work, more work than I could accomplish. So planning didn't feel like it was just taking time away from things I had to get done.
Yeah.
And so that just developed into a whole thing. But now I do take the time to plan. I still get, I get overwhelmed sometimes with the idea of goal setting, but I'm continuing to work on it every day, and that's more than I used to do. So
Yeah.
that's a big win. I think that's a win.
Yeah. And you know what I'm also thinking, and we don't have to include this if we don't want to, but I'm also thinking about the time where the morning rampage that I made.
Yes.
I remember you
Yes.
had such a good reaction to that. That
Mhm.
meditation, I remember that was like that to me. That always, there were a few things when people come to me in the group and they're like, I had this reaction and you had a breakthrough, right? So
Oh, yes. I completely forgot about everything I wrote that day. Yes, that was huge. I need to go back and read that because that was really big. And the one we did recently for the vision board, I
yeah,
am listening to that every morning.
yeah,
That is helpful. And also the chakra balancing that you recommended. I found a really good one recently. And so I'm doing that every day right now because I am struggling, I'm having triggers. So I'm doing that every morning. And then I'm listening to the vision board theta meditation and looking at my vision board
right. So you
throughout.
feel
And
like
those,
those metaphysical tools, those help.
yes, they really do. The vibration of that particular video meditation is good. And then the theta meditation is also, it just helps you let go, release some of that fearful stuff so that
Yeah.
then I can
Because
move
putting you in
forward.
theta makes you relaxed and kind of sleepy and dreamy. Really, that's what it does. It puts you in like a dreamy state, which is
Yes.
what helps with the reprogramming your subconscious into going after the vision board. So you listen to that while you're looking at your vision board, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm programming myself to believe these things.
Yes, it helps.
Yes.
I'm enjoying that. And just I didn't know if I was going to get the vision board done. I
Hmm.
had I had kind of stepped away from that, but something else was feeling worse the other day, so I did the vision board, and I'm really glad I did, because it's helping me, focus on the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good to hear. So then,
Yeah.
Dorri, what would you tell someone who was on the fence about joining the mastermind? They're thinking about joining, they're not sure if they should make the investment. What would your advice or words of wisdom be?
If it's about the money, you will absolutely get far more than you are paying every month out of the group. We have 3 phone calls now every month.
Well, Zoom
Um,
calls. I don't want anyone to think we're taking the phone calls, but yeah.
we have 3 Zoom calls every month, and they're very in depth. They're very always worthwhile. And you have access to them after that for a year before before you have a
Well,
new January or a new
they don't really ever go away.
Mhm.
I've just been kind of replacing, like, like the New Year's one.
Yes,
Right. So you
January.
always, all of the replays for anything are always available. It's just when we've done newer versions of like the New Year's goal setting and the vision board, which is what we just came out of. I put the newer one in the file up top, but I still have the old ones. They're still sitting around.
There. Okay, so absolutely. And not only that, I mean, there's the full productivity course that, we don't talk about too much, but that whole thing is there with
Yeah.
huge amounts of information.
Yeah.
And then you have the community that there's just some really wonderful people in the community that share. It's not all just about our classes. We share and encourage. There's lots of encouragement in there. So
Yeah.
I would think if you're looking for education and a community, this is a good one.
Awesome.
It's definitely worth the money.
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that, because that is always, if anyone who's been in my community for a long time knows that whenever I create anything, especially like anything, especially a paid offer, right? It is
Yeah.
always my highest intention is I'm going to put more value into this than people are paying for, right? And not to the point of like over delivering on information because I'm undervaluing myself, but really it's like that idea of I like to add unexpected value, especially, and make sure that I'm really covering all the bases. And like you said earlier, the information, I go so deep on a lot of information that it's like, for me, it's easy to create, like, let me pull in all these other resources. And
Yes.
I like how you touched on the course too, because that's one of the things that's in the group that a lot of some people don't even realize it's there, right? I'm sure many people haven't even gone into that because we have such a backlog of classes at this point. We've been doing this since October 2020. So we have every month's classes, since then, that are in your backlog, and the Q&As, and now the CEO Power Hours, that we also have a 12 module productivity course in there as well,
Yeah.
which really is like, when we're talking about productivity and personal development, that is the course soup to nuts for me, that takes you on, just the foundation of what I teach, and that you can't get that anywhere else. It's only inside of the mastermind now. So,
and we haven't even talked about the monthly books, which I haven't read a lot of those, but our book of the month is also useful information.
That's right. And so we also do the book of the month, which is like our book club. It's our book club, right? We don't have a dedicated call or anything for it, but I do a post, and I do I try to do like follow up, posts inside of our book club chat in Slack. And for me, when I pick those books, I pick them side by side with what the class is for the month, so that we can, again, go deeper into information on that topic and just really help to balance out like what we're learning and what we're implementing. And that's how I like to learn. So I give you guys as many different resources as possible for everything that we're learning. So I'm glad that you find it valuable, that you see that there's more value in it. That really means a lot to me. So thank you so much, Dorri, for your time and for joining me today. I hope that anyone who's watching this has found Dorri's insight into the group helpful, inspiring, enlightening. I know that Dorri is one of the valued members of my group as well. So I absolutely love hearing her take and really value her input, as I value anyone's input inside the mastermind as well. So keep that in mind. When you join the mastermind, not only are you a member of this group, you're also what I consider, you're my mastermind sister as well. So your input, your feedback, your engagement really means a lot for shaping the future of the group. So thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much, Dorri. I'll see you guys later. Bye.